This Sunday night, an alleged assassination attempt on the U.S. president. Donald Trump is rushed to safety as gunfire interrupts the White House Correspondents Dinner.
This individual was intent on doing as much harm and as much damage as he could.
What we're learning about the shooting, the alleged gunman, and how President Trump is responding.
Who would do that but a sick person?
Keeping kids offline. Which province is set to become the first to ban social media for children? Plus, help wanted.
No need to be scared. We're doing it controlled and fun.
The push to hire more women workers in the trades.
Global National. Reporting tonight, Jeff Semple.
The chaotic moments when U.S. President Donald Trump was rushed out of the White House Correspondents' Dinner after an alleged assassination attempt. Authorities say a suspect armed with knives, a shotgun, and a handgun stormed a security perimeter inside the hotel. Shots were fired, but incredibly, no one was killed. The U.S. once again reeling from what appears to be another politically motivated attack. Good evening and thank you for joining us. The White House Correspondents' Dinner is an annual event hosting America's top journalists and political leaders, including the president. The dinner was just underway when it was interrupted by gunfire. A Secret Service agent wearing a bulletproof vest was shot and is now recovering in hospital. The 31-year-old alleged gunman was arrested and faces numerous charges. The acting attorney general says President Trump and his officials were the likely targets, and investigators believe the suspect was working alone. Candice Cole reports from Washington.
Panic and chaos erupted Saturday night at the White House Correspondents' Dinner in Washington, D.C. First, you see U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance whisked away by Secret Service, followed by President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania being rushed off stage, alongside several Trump cabinet members. And this image of House Speaker Mike Johnson, third in line to the presidency, being evacuated by Secret Service. Shots were heard just after 8:30 p.m. outside the ballroom where the dinner was taking place at the Washington Hilton, the same hotel where President Ronald Reagan was shot back in 1981.
We are currently underneath the table. There have been shots fired, and we can hear Secret Service ensuring that everyone is safe. You can see that the shots were heard outside of this door here.
This security camera footage showing the moment that alleged gunman, 31-year-old Cole Tomas Allen, runs through an area outside the ballroom before being arrested. About an hour later, Trump spoke to reporters at the White House, praising the swift action of Secret Service and local law enforcement, taking a rare conciliatory stance.
But in light of this evening's events, I ask that all Americans recommit with their hearts in resolving our difference peacefully.
And telling Fox News Sunday that he plans to change the tone of the speech he initially planned to deliver.
I was going to get up and make an entirely different speech. I was going to really rip it last night. I was talking about everybody. And then they said, well, my speech is going to be much different. It'll be a speech of love. But I didn't get a chance to do that. Probably I was better off if I didn't.
The annual gala, which celebrates the work of journalists who cover the White House and is known for poking fun at the president, was the first one attended by Trump during either of his terms in office. Trump says this year's White House Correspondents' Dinner will be rescheduled. Allen, the alleged gunman, is due in court Monday, facing weapons charges and assault of a federal officer. More charges are expected. Candice Cole, Global News, Washington.
Police say the 31-year-old alleged gunman is not cooperating with investigators. Cole Tomas Allen is highly educated and has no criminal record, but it appears Allen himself may have provided a window into his alleged motive. According to the U.S. president, Allen sent his family a manifesto shortly before the attack. Mike Armstrong on what we're learning about the suspect.
This was the scene outside the California home of Cole Tomas Allen overnight. FBI agents would spend hours combing through the residence in a suburb of Los Angeles. According to officials, the 31-year-old traveled by train, first from California to Chicago, and then from Chicago to D.C.
Well, they have some pretty good information. He had a lot of hatred in his heart for quite a while.
President Trump, appearing on Fox News Sunday, said investigators have spoken to the suspect's family and recovered a manifesto.
I don't know if you've gotten it, just got released, a manifesto. He said a manifesto, can you believe it?
Now, the New York Post is reporting it has a copy of that document. The Post says it was sent to the suspect's family members just minutes before the attack. In it, the writer explains his actions are political. Quote, "What my representatives do reflects on me." He lists several grievances, among them drug boats blown up off the coast of Venezuela and the U.S. mistakenly hitting an elementary school in Iran. The writer explains who he's targeting. Administration officials, quote, prioritized from highest ranking to lowest. He signs off as the friendly federal assassin. Now, the suspect studied mechanical engineering and graduated in 2017. That same year, he was featured in an ABC News report about helping seniors with technology.
The wheelchair brakes tend to lock the wheels, but don't actually lock the chair to the ground. The idea with this...
Allen later studied computer science and worked as a video game developer. This was a game he published in 2018. For the last 6 years, he was working part-time for a tutoring company. He was a Teacher of the Month in 2024. One of his students describes Allen as quirky, but seemingly harmless.
He was just a pretty normal guy. He was a smart guy.
His family said he had big difficulty. Maybe they should have reported him a little bit more strongly, probably. But it's a hard thing to do, I guess.
Now, there are reports the suspect purchased in recent years a shotgun and a semi-automatic pistol. Both match the weapons recovered at the scene. Mike Armstrong, Global News, Montreal.
Saturday's shooting is part of a documented rise in political violence in the U.S. over the past decade. It marks the third alleged assassination attempt on Trump in just the past couple of years. The first came during a campaign stop in Butler, Pennsylvania in 2024, when a bullet grazed his ear. Just 64 days later, Trump was targeted by another would-be assassin at his Florida golf course. Following Saturday's shooting, Trump suggested these attacks are a sign of how successful his presidency has been and the big impact that he's making. And Trump also offered an olive branch to his political opponents.
We have to resolve our differences. I will say, you had Republicans, Democrats, independents, conservatives, liberals, and progressives, and there was a tremendous amount of love and coming together.
Trump made a similar call for national unity after the Butler, Pennsylvania shooting, before quickly pivoting back to his trademark hostility towards his opponents. Buckingham Palace says that King Charles and Queen Camilla's state visit to Washington will proceed as scheduled this week, despite security concerns following Saturday's shooting. The royal couple arrives tomorrow for a 4-day trip that spans D.C., New York, and Virginia. Security teams are reportedly making minor adjustments to some of the engagements. Buckingham Palace says Charles is being kept fully informed and was greatly relieved to hear that the President, First Lady, and other guests were unharmed. Prime Minister Mark Carney also expressed his relief. In a statement, Carney wrote, "Political violence has no place in any democracy, and my thoughts are with all those who have been shaken by this disturbing event." Turning to other news now, Manitoba is set to crack down on young people's use of social media. Premier Wab Kinew has just announced that he's seeking to ban youth from online platforms and AI chatbots. The province would be the first in Canada to introduce a social media ban. The federal Liberals voted in favor of a similar policy at the party convention this month, though the government has yet to introduce legislation. As Hirsch Singh reports, Manitoba will join a growing list of governments around the world taking steps to keep kids offline.
Social media and AI chatbots. Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew announced Saturday night that he wants to ban Manitoba youth from using these online platforms.
These tools have been designed by armies of PhDs, people who understand our psychology, who understand our biology, and they have designed these tools and optimized them to hack our children's reward systems in their brain.
What started out in Australia has now picked up global momentum. The proposed law to protect the youth from the harmful effects of AI and social media will be the first of its kind in Canada. For now, the Premier has not revealed what age the province is considering for the ban or how it will be enforced.
Australia has had some early successes. They've managed to disable about 4.7 million accounts soon after the law went into effect. This compares to 5.1 million kids of age targeted by that legislation.
Traditionally, social media companies have used the honor system to gather personal information like age from an user. In Australia, the government required the social media companies to enforce an age verification process. The answer to the problem was AI analyzing users and their profiles.
Who you follow and who follows you are of a younger age, that the kinds of things that you post, that you share, that you interact with may suggest that you're younger.
And while an AI age verification may keep children out of social media until they're of certain age,
it creates a number of other issues, and largely revolving around the kinds of information, the amounts of information that it collects on us, how deeply it penetrates into our accounts to assess that we are the age that we say that we are. And then, of course, there are questions around where that information goes, who has access to it, is that information being protected?
Around the world, Malaysia, Indonesia, Denmark and Greece have also implemented age restrictions. For now, we're waiting to see how Manitoba implements this new announcement. Harsh Singh, Global News, Winnipeg.
The federal government will introduce its spring economic update on Tuesday, and opposition leader Pierre Poilievre is outlining his list of demands.
By cutting bureaucracy, consultants, corporate welfare, foreign aid, handouts to fake refugees and tax havens, we can bring down debt, taxes and inflation for our people. Let's end Carney's credit card budgeting.
This is our moment to build in Canada, to invest in Canada.
The finance minister's spring update will be the first detailed look at Ottawa's fiscal situation since the November budget, when the Liberals projected a $78 billion deficit. Increased oil revenues from the war in Iran are expected to boost Ottawa's finances, while increased defense spending and the temporary gas tax cut could deepen the deficit.
The first question is they're just going to pick up where they left? Are we going to just see this string of endless high deficits? Or are they going to indicate some greater concern about that? The second aspect of it is we've never really seen a fulsome economic plan.
Some analysts believe the government may outline several economic scenarios that depend on how long the Middle East conflict and the oil shock continue. Turning to a grim anniversary in Vancouver today, the city marking 1 year since the deadly Lapu Lapu Day tragedy. Tributes appeared near the site where 11 people were killed, including a 5-year-old child, when a driver rammed through the crowd at the Filipino festival. The 30-year-old suspect is now awaiting trial on multiple murder charges. Prime Minister Mark Carney released a statement today calling the tragedy a senseless act of violence that left a profound void in the hearts of families, loved ones, and Filipino communities across Canada. Iran's foreign minister briefly returned to Pakistan 1 day after another round of peace talks with the U.S. failed to materialize. Today, Abbas Araghchi met with the Sultan of Oman before flying back to Pakistan and then on to Russia. A U.S. envoy was expected to travel to Pakistan yesterday, but President Donald Trump called off the trip, telling Fox News that the talks were pointless because no progress had been made. The ceasefire in Iran appears to be holding, but the Strait of Hormuz remains closed. Two former Israeli prime ministers are joining forces to form a new party in hopes of unseating longtime leader Benjamin Netanyahu. Former Prime Minister Naftali Bennett and opposition leader Yair Lapid are forming a new party called Together, which will be led by Bennett. It's not the first time the two former leaders have teamed up to try to oust Netanyahu. In 2021, they briefly put an end to his 12-year tenure as leader, but he was then re-elected as prime minister 18 months later. Ukrainians marked a solemn anniversary today, 40 years since the world's worst nuclear disaster at the Chernobyl power plant. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky joined a ceremony near the site of the disaster to honor the victims. The reactor meltdown in 1986 killed about 30 people, either from the immediate explosion or the severe radiation poisoning that followed. In the decades since, thousands of others are believed to have suffered or died from illnesses such as cancer linked to the radioactive fallout that spread to other countries.
регіонах пороз'їжджались, тихенько помирають.
Not a single Chernobyl person is in good health, says this 75-year-old, who was among the liquidators who cleaned up the disaster in the aftermath and were exposed to the radiation. He calls it death by 1,000 cuts. Decades of work to keep the radiation at bay are now in danger from Russia's ongoing strikes, which have already damaged the containment site. A world record-breaking run coming up. Multiple marathoners make history in London. In Colombia, an attack on a bus has killed at least 20 people. Authorities say an explosive device detonated while the bus was traveling on a highway in southwestern Colombia on Saturday. More than 30 others were hurt. Authorities are blaming a dissident guerrilla group, which they say was responsible for several attacks in the region this weekend. In Texas, at least 2 people were killed and more than a dozen homes badly damaged or destroyed by a tornado. The storm, which hit the community of Runaway Bay on Saturday, had winds of up to 220 kilometers per hour. A marathon milestone that once seemed impossible has just been achieved in the UK. Kenya's Sebastian Sawe won the London Marathon with a time of 1 hour, 59 minutes and 30 seconds. He's the first person ever to run an official marathon in under 2 hours.
I'm so excited. I didn't believe, but I was well prepared, and the training I've done, the results have come now.
Incredibly, the second-place finisher also completed the race in under 2 hours. Ethiopia's Yomif Kechelcha finished just 11 seconds behind the winner, and this was Kechelcha's first ever marathon. Free from HIV. Still ahead, a Toronto man becomes one of the first in the world to be possibly cured of the virus. A Toronto man could be cured of both HIV and cancer after receiving a bone marrow transplant. He's in sustained remission with HIV levels now undetectable, and he'll need to stay that way for another 1.5 years to be officially considered cured of HIV. As Catherine Ward explains, his case represents a rare victory against the deadly virus.
When we told him that we believe him to be cured, he was pretty astounded.
Thanks to medical teams at University Health Network, Unity Health Toronto, and the University of Toronto, a Toronto man is joining a small club where HIV is no longer detectable in his body.
There's only 10 such cases in the world. And what has to happen is that a person needs to require a bone marrow for some underlying disease.
In this case, the patient needed a bone marrow transplant to treat leukemia. Part of that involves searching global databases for the right match.
The idea is to find as good match as possible because that will increase the chances that the transplant will be successful.
In this case, the chosen bone marrow donor had a special mutated protein that was resistant to HIV, which resulted in both the cancer and HIV getting treated.
The patient's old immune system was completely gone and replaced by this new immune system, and the cancer was gone.
This person now has an immune system that cannot be affected by HIV.
Doctors say this kind of approach is not meant to treat HIV on its own.
This is not a procedure that you would get to get rid of your HIV. Kind of like to clarify and make it very clear that this was a very a wonderful, extraordinary outcome of the transplant, but it was not the primary outcome why this individual got a transplant.
We do have good treatments now that keep HIV under control, and people living with HIV can have pretty normal life expectancies now. But the cure is the ultimate goal, and you want to be able to remove HIV from the body. And this proves that it's possible.
The Toronto patient was able to stop their HIV treatment last summer after careful monitoring. Doctors hope this sustained remission will continue going forward. Catherine Ward, Global News, Toronto.
Skilled labor shortage. Up next, the push to train a new generation of tradeswomen. Welcome back. Canada is facing a skilled labor shortage, with more people retiring from the trades. One proposed solution is hiring more women. The number of female workers has doubled over the past decade, but women still represent only about 8% of the workforce. As Melissa Ridgen reports, industry leaders are now training a new generation of tradeswomen.
What's not to dig about a day out of school? Casting concrete.
So that one does not have any rocks in it, right? That one's just sand.
Soldering pipes.
No need to be scared. We're doing it controlled and fun.
And nailing new carpentry skills.
Do you want to try hammering in some nails?
A growing number of industry-led events like this gives elementary school girls hands-on learning with tradespeople, many of whom are just like them.
I liked the roofing.
How come?
Because it was just really fun to apply the paste and like smooth it down.
Could you be a roofer?
Yeah, I think I could.
I really liked laying the bricks on. I thought it was really cool.
Mechanical and electrical, that was my favorite of all time.
It's the grade 5 to 6 window that is critical for opening their mind and having them see this as a true potential so that they'll be interested in going into shops programs and that kind of thing once they get to middle school.
But there's more to do.
It is important to plant the seed early and to get girls interested as we work on the workplace to make it more welcoming for girls, because there's no point in getting girls really excited about these occupations if industry isn't ready to fully embrace them at the work site.
She says that means addressing why women report leaving trades: isolation, unequal treatment and pay, bullying and harassment.
We've got to reduce that gap even more so that both men and women have opportunities to complete their training, get certified, and then experience all the benefits that come with certification, like higher wages, career progression, more access to full-time permanent work.
Changes that will have to be made for this generation of tradeswomen and industries themselves to reach new heights. Melissa Ridgen, Global News, Winnipeg.
And that is Global National for this Sunday night. I'm Jeff Semple. Tonight's Your Canada is Petty Harbour, Maddox Cove in Newfoundland and Labrador. We love seeing your Canada, so please email your photos to globalnational@globalnews.ca. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you back here again tomorrow. Have a great night.